We're starting off with a doozy, and it's the world-famous daisy. Because when a world-renowned Nintendo character is named after you, I'd say you become a plenty popular enough flower. A middle child between the super complex flowers of this world and the super simplistic one, I'd also say. And they are kind of simple, but not simplistic. Because if you look closely, there are actually some greater details going on with them all. Like those lovely striation on those pretty petals of theirs. And that big yellow dot at their center there. That isn't just a plain old dome either, but is actually made up of numerous little disc florets that have come together to create quite the unique looking and feeling texture for it all. So its beauty is a lot more nuanced and complex than one might actually think at first, especially with just a casual glance and when just seeing it from afar. The bottom line, though, is that it's truly one of nature's greatest botanical beauties, and this list has already started off with such a banger as it. So it's only going to get even more appealing from here on up, ladies and gents. Let's go. Up next, who are we going to have? Well, they're just so very elegant, bloom in bunches, and just have such an amazing fragrance to them, as well as a wonderful feel. What am I talking about? These lilacs, who are our 9th place finisher. That's who. And I really like those 4 petals and their rounded and cupped look in nature as well, as opposed to the numerous sharper and more pointy types of petals that are already out there. I've also only seen mostly dark colors with them too, even with an online search on the most popular search engine. So I do not know if there are any vibrant color versions of these lilacs out there, perhaps biologically engineered ones, but I've never been a fan of any unnatural or bioengineered color though. Also, I'm just not interested enough in them, at least not right now, to ask any further questions about them. So moving forward, I'm just going to assume that they do only come in these darker colors that I've ever seen with them. Regardless, their spectacular elegance, fragrance, and grace has been enough to land them at this number 9 spot of my top 10 most lovely flowers in all of this world. So moving on to our 8th spot, who are we going to find at this 3rd spot from bottom? We are going to find a unique and fairly atypical hydrangea flower. And a particular feature of the hydrangea plant is the nature of its blooms that happen in gorgeous and lovely clusters and bunches. Add to that their impressive variety of colors, and it's all just so very spellbinding. But wait, that's not all. This amazing-looking little flower has an even more beautiful and jaw-dropping trick up its sleeves, and one that just leaves its viewers absolutely speechless. And what is it? It's that incredible duotone feature and ability that they have with those colors of their flowers. And it's like none other that I've ever seen is so impressively and uniquely like that. It truly is a mesmerizing sight to behold and take in real life. What an elegance and grace that this unique flower has to it. And I think that it all speaks of its nature and personality so greatly, as well as it all being how it's been able to find itself on this super short list of only my top 10 favorite flowers of this entire world. Next up is our lucky number 7 spot. And who are we going to have here at the select spot? It's a flower that I didn't discover until quite recently, actually, and I only found out about it by asking the florist at my local grocery store. That was how I learned of this impressive beauty's existence. Before asking, though, for the decades that I had walked this earth, I had no clue of its existence at all. But once I was aware of its existence, it immediately found itself on this top 10 list of all my favorite flowers of this big blue earth. And it is a very unique kind of beauty from all the others on this list as well, as it's the only one that its blooms grows in tall columns together, creating such a unique and striking kind of beauty in the floral world. One like basically none other. So what's its name? It's about time we find out what this super lovely beauty has come to be called, right? Agreed. And this lovely botanical beauty's name is just as beautiful as its appearance, going by lupine. Well, thinking back on that moment when I asked my local florist for her favorite flower, I'm really glad I did ask and found out about these unique beauties, because I don't think I would have been able to find out any other way, or maybe not for another 20 some more years of walking this earth, because I had never seen them on social media. I had never even came across them on any popular photo sites, let alone in real life. But I wanted to be very thorough for this list and to consult as many sources as I possibly could. And boy, did I end up with a doozy for this lucky number 7 spot. And to reemphasize, one that I don't think I would have found out about any other way if I had not asked that neighborhood florist of mine. So then, I think I'm going to try to make a habit to ask every florist that I cross paths with what her favorite flower is. It's going to be very interesting and a lot of fun. Ah, a symbol of Zen meditation and also peace. To me is this sixth place holder that is this lotus flower. Because if you ask me, they look like the embodiment of peace and Zen enlightenment. And their appearance is just one of calmness and sereneness, especially because of how they appear in bodies of water like they do. And speaking of those bodies of water, they're actually what makes these lotus flowers so unique from so many of the other floral beauties of this earth. Them seemingly choosing to uniquely grace those watery ways with their incredible beauty, instead of appearing on land like 99% of all the other flowers of this earth. This flower's beauty and popularity has been so great that it has seemingly inspired the naming of a multinational automotive manufacturer, the Lotus Group. Well, if you ask me, its popularity is of no surprise, since its elegance and beauty is like that of no other in this world. And it certainly belongs on a list such as this of all these greatest botanical beauties that this world has ever seen. Moving on to our fifth place winner, who are we going to have at this first spot of this upper half of this top 10 list? Who the heck is going to be the first botanical beaut to beat such a showstopper as that world-renowned lotus flower? Because it's going to be extremely hard to outdo that spectacular river queen that we had just seen. I mean, one look at that thing and my life is suddenly filled with a little more peace and a little more calmness each and every time. And not to mention a lot more beauty too. So, who has been the first of these top 5 who were able to do that seemingly impossible feat of handing that super lotus stunner of a flower her defeat? How about the incredibly lovely, exceptionally unique, and magnificently beautiful bellflower? It genuinely blows my mind and truly surprises me that this stunningly gorgeous horticultural beauty is not more popular and more well-known. Maybe they're just not as easy to grow and to cultivate, but they're definitely super easy in one other major way, though, and that's on the eyes, because they just have such a pleasant and elegant bell-shaped look to them. And then there are those lovely colors that they come in as well that just makes for such a winning combination. Like the stellar sea eagle that is so cool looking and whose look is just so underrated too. This bellflower is the stellar sea eagle of the floral world, and more people should be made aware of both of them. Also, now we finally arrive at the runner-up to the top 3 finishers of this particular and unique top 10 list of mine. And like that incredible lupine flower that we just saw at our lucky number 7 spot, I didn't even discover or hear of this 4th place finisher for decades, and only basically found out when I was putting together this list and doing some extensive research for it. That has been one of the main ways that I have discovered it. And actually, I first saw one of these insanely intriguing and awesomely beautiful 4th place flowers at a relative of mine's place. I was immediately captivated and drawn to it by its gorgeous and uniquely looking dual-colored petals, as well as its striking resemblance to that world-famous and all-time best-selling rose beauty queen. At first, I actually thought that it was a rose, and wondered to myself, I've never seen a rose like that before. I didn't know that they could do that, have that two-tone look to them. But it turns out, and to the detonation of my own mind, what I was looking at was not a rose at all, but something else. I couldn't believe my eyes. So I took to the internet to do some research and investigative journalism. Well, after a long, grueling, and extensive search, what did I find? What was this rose look-alike called? Who has this mystery beauty really been? It's known as the Eustoma or Lisianthus flower, and both of those names suck. Neither of them are pretty or memorable or roll off the tongue really nicely and gracefully too. But now that I know what it really is and what it has come to be called, then one of my first subsequent thoughts about it became, did it come first before that much more popular relative of its, or did that world-renowned rose come after this Lisianthus superlooker? And have they been the results of human bioengineering and intentional breeding efforts? Or have they really been a natural genetic divergence that happened like some 5,000 years ago with them, and that more famous relative of theirs, that is the rose? Because for all my life, they've never been nearly as well known or as popular as the rose. For some reason, even though they look virtually just as good as them. Then again, perhaps therein lies the problem, and that classic and old adage of quote-unquote, this town is not big enough for the two of us situation was just going to naturally take place, right? Or maybe its lesser-known status has been because of that blasted ugly name of its. I feel like every time that I have to say that name or attempt to say it, it takes like 42 seconds off of my life. And as I mentioned earlier, and have made quite clear just now, that name just doesn't roll off the tongue so very nicely at all, and just doesn't have such a nice ring or beauty to it like that rose name. As a related side note, this is a powerful reminder to you parents to choose and select your child's name carefully and wisely, because it matters and matters on so many levels and in so many more profound ways than most of you probably ever thought or realized. And heck, even its other name isn't any better, Eustoma. Okay, so maybe it is just a little better, but not by that much. But seriously and honestly, who the heck gave such a gorgeous flower such ugly names? Were they inebriated when they were trying to do so? Or were they being paid under the table to forever sabotage this stunning contender to the rose's throne with this ugly name, just so that the rose might have the advantage in history? We may never know. But hey, on the more positive side of things for this incredible beauty is that at least more people are finding out about it now, thanks to top 10 flower lists such as this. I should and really do want to look much deeper into the history of this fascinating rose doppelganger, and may just dedicate an entire video just for those results about its genetics and ancestry that I do find. But for now, this lovely Lisianthus rose lookalike flower is our 4th place finisher, and of course, the runner-up to our top 3. So those were my thoughts on that lovely Lisianthus super beauty, as well as a bit of rant about them, and one done in favor of them too. But it's about time to get on to our top 3 finishers, so let's do just that. So it's getting harder and harder to beat each subsequent finisher on this list of the absolute best botanical beauties that this world has ever seen. So the Lisianthus was a super stunner like no other, if we're also not considering that all-time greatest rose flower in this conversation. How now? Is anyone going to follow that up, right? Well, our 3rd place winner has outdone the Lisianthus by just a hair, because overall, it has just been a bit more elegant, and its botanical DNA has just been a bit more on the higher quality side than that already really incredible Lisianthus. And all of those things that I've just mentioned about it may also have been why it has been such a higher seller, and overall, just a more popular flower than that super underrated Lisianthus flower. So, who might this super seller and mega beauty be then at this 3rd place spot? Because heck, she is probably the 2nd most popular and best-selling flower of all time, even though she is not the 2nd most beautiful of all time. So who is she then? And who has she been? Why, she's been none other than that world-famous beauty that is known as the tulip flower. And why did I say that she might just be the 2nd most popular flower of all time? Because I see this lovely tulip beauty at every floral stand that I've ever crossed paths with, as well as on the lawns of numerous homes that I've driven by over the years. And not to mention the countless photos of them on social media or the innumerable wallpapers of them. Also across the internet and the many artworks of them on those artwork sites that I've seen as well. And it was already unfair enough to so many other flowers of this world that this amazing tulip beauty already had such a lovely bulb and such a graceful body. Oh no, they've also had to come in so many vibrant and gorgeous-looking colors as well. And their renown and appeal has been so great and so wonderful that a high-flying nation, such as the Netherlands, decided to make them their national symbol too. So there's also that. No biggie, just a national symbol of a really high-class and advanced culture. That's all. But simply put, tulips are just one of nature's most spectacular and incredible beauties. And they actually sit really nicely between your super complex types of flowers and the super simple ones of this world too. Just like our first entrant on this list, that lovely daisy one. And maybe that's what's made them so popular and well-liked, having that seemingly perfect balance and middle spot to their look that has been so appealing to so many. All in all, the tulip has just been one of the absolute best beauties that this world has ever laid eyes on, and has always been an all-time bestseller, as well as one of its most incredible floral legends ever too. And that's how it's found itself on this super short list of only my 10 favorite flowers of all time, and in all of this world, at this super high up spot of 3rd place as well. Woo! So numbers 4 and 3 were absolute doozies. But this next one, this silver medalist and runner-up spot to our top finisher. She's got to be a lot less complex and a lot more simpler or minimalistic, right? Am I giving something away here? Probably. Because our second place finisher is none other than the reigning champion and queen of natural minimalistic beauty herself, the calla lily. And it is natural minimalism at its finest and in its most perfect form, with this incredible stun of a looker. If the iMac was a flower, the stupendous calla lily would have to be it. And if you are a Mac user, you probably prefer the minimalistic beauties of this world, like the stupendous calla lily, over more overly complex and complicated ones of this earth. And I think that's why nature's minimalistic masterpieces like this calla lily exist, as well as why those super minimalistically stylish Apple products exist too, in the first place, just for people like you. Because so oftentimes there is a lot of beauty in simplicity, as well as a lot of truth in that paradoxical statement of life of how sometimes less is a more. So bravo to Mother Nature for this jaw-dropping creative masterpiece on this simpler side of life. So if Miss Supernatural Minimalism hasn't been our first place finisher, then this list's top spot must be occupied by a complex stunner. It just has to be. Does not nature dictate and demand that it does? And you'd be right. And now, it is finally time to reveal this list's number one finisher, the contestant and finisher that everyone has been eagerly anticipating the unveiling of this whole time. You botanists and floral experts out there have more than likely already correctly guessed who it is going to be at this number one spot. And in all honesty, forget being an expert in this particular field. When it comes to this floral beauty competition, most of you have probably already deduced who it is that has ended up here at this number one spot too. Because if you've lived long enough and have walked this earth for at least a couple of decades now, you have probably noticed across this earth, and especially in the West, of just how much this botanical beauty at this number one spot has been dominating our mainstream societies when it comes to this floral beauty contest. So yes, it's probably who you have guessed that it would be all along, as well as being the one flower that has probably been on your mind from the very start of this list too. It is the queen of all the flowers herself, and as alluded to, probably the most popular as well as the most well-known flower in all the world. Our number one finisher and the top placement too on this list is that world-famous and world-renowned rose. Here, give a listen to what wholesaleflowers.net has to say about this beauty queen. Quote, when it comes to identifying the best-selling flowers globally, one bloom stands tall above the rest, roses. As the undisputed champion of the cut flower market, roses consistently outpace all competitors in terms of volume, value, and year-round demand. This isn't just due to tradition or sentiment. It's also the result of an industry that has mastered the cultivation and distribution of this flower. And, quote, I don't think I could have said it any better. So, yes, when it comes to objective beauty in the botanical world, none have been able to dethrone this current and long-time running queen of them all. So that was our top 10 most beautiful flowers in all this world. Or perhaps I should say that has been my personal top 10 most beautiful flowers of all time. But which of these natural wonders and nature's greatest beauties has been your queen and fairest one of them all? Like many, has it been the rose? Or are you actually an outlier when it comes to this particular field and prefer something totally else? Or would you have chosen one of the other 9 finishers of this list to be at your top spot for your top 10 in this particular arena? Feel free to let us all know in that comment section down below. So until the next one from yours truly, I'm out. Peace.